Let's go. So pay me what you owe me and don't play with me, homie.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Thank you for coming to the Hustle Podcast. Here I got a very special guest, and this is somebody that I've known for a long time, going back about 30 years. Aldryn he's been a builder of brands for a long time. He's an entrepreneur. He's an innovator. He's a disruptor, and he's just somebody I've always looked up to. And Aldryn Estacio, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Loving life, dude.
Loving life.
Living life.
Yeah. What are you up to lately, man?
Mostly family, and then of course every other little business and opportunities, and of course work and day job stuff, and yeah, I mean, it's always been nonstop. So I don't. To me, it's just another it's another day.
Yeah, and so we're both from University City, and when I think Aldryn Estacio, I think Round Table, I think of the Street Fighter II machine. And I think of like Corey Iverson, Dash, Mason Hamilton. Like, we had a good group of Street Fighter II players. How did playing video games help you out in your career where you are now? Was it very big for you?
Well, I mean, I think all that stuff was back then. That was pretty much our babysitters, right? If you went to, especially if you go anywhere in UC, the main reason why we were so good at Street Fighter is that was like, you get off school. You wait for your parents at Round Table. You get off school. You wait for your parents at the rec until they get off at 5 o'clock. Yep. Right? So that was it. That's the reason why, I mean, all of those things we all just happened to be good at, because that was our babysitter. Every single day you get off class and just walk over, and you're going to do one of a few things. Play ping pong, play pool, play ball, or go to Round Table on a Wednesday and half day.
What's your ping pong game like? When was the last time you played ping pong?
Oh, my company had a ping pong table, and we would play every day. But that was also before we got acquired. Probably like 5 or 6 years since I played. But
were you the best?
No, up there. Definitely would compete with some of the better guys over there. But I mean, I could hold my own. You know.
Yeah. So earliest memories, we were both part of. I mean, we were on kind of the same soccer team at different times.
Yeah.
And then obviously sports were such a big part of our community. And, you know, we have a group text of 20 of us right now that we all know each other from sports, and we're all from either UC or Claremont.
Yep.
So when I think about you, I think about junior high. I also think about high school, and I think about you cruising around. I mean, you were a big part of the car culture back then. Like, what car were you driving? And that was like, I remember everybody showing up on the speed bumps.
Oh,
and just
dude.
What was that? How'd you get into that?
My brother was part of the car, and like, you know, he's 5 years older than me. So back then it was like mid 90s at that point when the car culture kind of hit, or as far as when I say car culture, I say import. So import scene got bigger and bigger and bigger mid 90s, where a lot of the Civics were the biggest thing. Integras were the biggest thing to have. My brother had an Integra. I had the Civics. And then my brother was also a part of a car shop in Chula Vista. And then we were part of just a racing team back in the day. So it was like a crew versus crew type of thing. We would go out every Saturday night. It'd be the races, whether it be, Firehouse, 905. We would do like quarter drags up in Pomona and all those things. Carlsbad before that was shut down. Battle of the Imports. So basically all the car stuff that happened in Cali, or especially San Diego and LA, it was huge. And then that's where I was talking about, that's where Fast and Furious pretty much, I would say, came from, was that California car scene or import scene.
Yeah, and I felt like the exposure that we have, we always talk about the 4 pillars of hip hop, but really the 4 pillars that we experienced kind of growing up in San Diego. So we had skateboarding, we had the hip hop scene, we had the car culture, and then we had the dance culture. I think, where we went to high school, a ton of Filipinos, and it was just cool seeing people express themselves creatively, whether they were spraying wall up, writing on a wall, dancing, and you had people that were, those parties were huge. So how are you involved in that scene?
Yeah, the dance culture scene, I guess, that was after the car scene, in a way. So that was that. I kind of got involved with that. I did get involved with that towards the end of my college time, which was around 99-ish, 98, 99, at San Diego State. One of my friends there was part of a dance all-male hip-hop team called Formality back then, and ended up knowing some of the people that were part of other, groups at the school. And they just asked me, like, were you interested? I'm like, why not? Let's try it out. Back then, especially, you kind of join different groups to meet different people. I always wondered, like, how do I play in friendship games? So I don't know if you know, but friendship games is like a big deal in the school functions, as far as, like, I would say not just the Filipino culture, but like the Asian culture. Basically, friendship games is like the mecca of getting a bunch of California schools, their Asian group, like it was called Samahan for me.
Yeah.
That if you wanted to play other people in other schools, they would have a thing called friendship games, and you would go and meet up in Long Beach, and you play all the different games like basketball, volleyball, all those different things. And I'm like, how do I join friendship games, right? So you start meeting different people. You have to be part of these types of groups. So I started joining those other groups, and then I met other people. Then next, like, I'm part of an all-male hip-hop group. And then we were competing against college dance groups. So UCSD had 220. Riverside had 909 hip-hop group. Irvine had Cabo Modern. I think it was part of Irvine. All these, you start finding out, like, damn, there's a bunch of, like, choreographed hip-hop style groups. Not really like full b-boy groups. They were just like more choreographed dance groups. And then we would compete against them, and that culture started growing and growing. And then, like I talked about, with the car scene turning into Fast and Furious movie, that dance scene ended up turning into, I would say, kind of like the Step Up video or Step Up movie, right? Yeah. That kind of
is that Channing Tatum?
Channing Tatum, yeah. So I would say, like, that was like, if you were in the California dance scene, you kind of knew that movie in a way was like that. Oh, let's exploit this dance culture and put it on the big screen. That's kind of what that ended up being, the whole battling, the whole, that type of thing, which is fine, not a big deal, but it ended up being like that. But the dance scene was amazing back then, because it wasn't about clout. It wasn't about, it was about, like, dancing and meeting other schools and meeting other people. Then it kind of got more competitive as we went along, just like everything else. So
like, counterculture to that, you had the Jabberwockies coming up, which were kind of tying together the hip hop culture, the dance culture, and just doing something that was totally new. I think bringing, like, popping and locking into the mix.
Yeah.
And then how did you get involved with the Jabberwockies? Because you were building their website, you were doing a lot of their gear. Was that you solo dolo?
No. So Jabba came out because, same thing, like I said, the dance culture was smaller in San Diego. So a lot of the Jabba team members, when they started forming, some of them were part of a group called Culture Shock, and Culture Shock is worldwide, but headquartered here in San Diego with Angie Bunch. So some of those guys were part of Culture Shock. Then, Jabba kind of formulated from a couple of guys from the Bay and SAC, and they kind of created this crew.
Yeah.
So it was by association of knowing the dance scene and knowing the people in the dance scene. I already knew a lot of them. Then when it came down to, like, media, I was a guy that was already at the time already doing a lot of web, video. So it was just kind of a natural progression of just working with friends at that time.
Yeah, and there wasn't a way, like, it's not like there was this book that you pulled up and it showed you how to do everything. So are you all trial and error? Who did you learn from, or was it
yeah. I mean, most of that stuff, web and all that stuff was something I was already doing. So I just kind of brought that over to them. When it came down to, like, helping with their clothing line, Armory, Cross from Armory was the one who really created the main brand that you see now, which is the stack logo where it says Jabberwockies. They were the one who created that one, which took off. And because of the fact that I had the commerce side of things, I was working with Cross at that time to just get their stuff online, and this was right before ABDC, or America's Best Dance Group, kind of kicked off. So we were there, kind of pushing and helping them build up their line, their inventory. It all went through Armory. And then my garage ended up being literally the sweatshop of shipping. So
you were shipping everything too, right?
We were shipping everything. Jabberwockies would come over, on the weekends and stuff bags to ship out because it was ridiculous. Yeah, like the night of like they won the show, it was just like, okay, we have like thousands of orders. And I'm like, they're like, how are we gonna fulfill this? We're like, oh, we have no idea. Next, you know, like we had to just mass produce everything.
Yeah. And did you I mean, you were at the forefront of D2C business right there.
Yeah.
And that's something that would run through your veins to where you are now. Like, how did you come up? Tell us a little bit about FlytPath, which is one of your brands.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I think ever since from the beginning, I kind of, I've just always thought about it as how is it going to be a business one way or another. So, I mean, FlytPath was the same thing. If I'm going to be even pushing a hobby into a next thing, I always look at it as go, what's the business opportunity here, right? So when I started, flying drones and taking photos with it, I'm like, okay, I'm taking photos of things that no one else can do or is really doing, right? Because the shots you're getting are the only other way you would be able to get them is from a helicopter.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing this thing and if I'm enjoying it, what's the business opportunity, right? So then I looked at it that way, but at the same time, I'm like, I also need like motivation of like, why am I doing it? And same thing. It's like you start doing something that you feel like it's very unique and you enjoy it. Then I'm like, then I look at it as like, what do I need to do? And of course, create some sort of brand behind it.
When did you hit your first lick and like spike an algorithm on a YouTube, on an Instagram, where you realize like, holy shit, people are really into what I'm doing?
Well, that's what's funny is that I posted YouTube videos like, I don't know, 2014 or something. I think my first one was back then, but it wasn't, I was posting it like everyone else posts, just posting random stuff. Right. And that actually video took off, but there was never the idea of YouTube being a thing back then. It was another platform that you just post on. There was no business aspect to it that I saw yet, right? Mm-hmm. Which a lot of people are seeing now, but it was more this like, I'm just posting, just like you post random family photos on Facebook, right? You don't think of it as a business until you look at and talk to and understand that there is a huge business behind YouTube and social media in general. So you went until about 2017 when I saw a big spike on, content creators quitting their 9-to-5s and being a full-time content creator. I'm like, yeah, that's BS, right? I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. That's cute, right? Like everyone else, when you go, oh yeah, you do YouTube, and they're like, oh, that's cute. Right. So I was like, how are you guys for real? Like people really, is this a real thing? Then I went to a couple like YouTube strategy meetings, content creator meetups. And then you come to find out, you're like, the business behind it and the funnels behind it are like, wow, this is a real thing. And then that's what kind of flipped the script on my mind and go, I need to like approach it differently because there is a business behind it, like anything.
And as part of that business, I mean, you've done books. I think I'll never forget when I walked into, Amazon had their first bookstore that showed up at UTC. I didn't have social media at the time. I don't even know what year it is. I'm walking through the store, the Amazon bookstore, and I see San Diego Favorites, and I see this book
dude.
Here. I mean,
hilarious.
I got to pull it out, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, pull it up. I mean, tell me about the book while I struggle to move all of my things around here.
No, this is, what was it, 2015, dude. So 2015, right? So basically, growing up in San Diego, one of the people or like people that you would follow, especially for being San Diego, Aaron Chang, right? Surf photographer. So, I followed him a lot. I followed like Clark Little, the Hawaii, surf photographer as well. And there's always one thing I was like, I loved about what they did besides just their photos was they all had a coffee table book. And I was like, I have aerial photos that no one's taken before. My goal is to make my own coffee table book. And I'm like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that profitably? How do I mean, not profitably, but how do I make it so I can make it an actual mass produced book? Because if you were just go here in the US and try to look up how much it costs to make a book, that one book will probably cost you like $50 to $60 each. You have to go like overseas manufacturing, sadly, but that's just the way it is. And then once I started looking into that, I took a shot in the dark on some random Facebook business that says we produce books And I'm like, literally they had like 84 followers. And I'm like, yeah, so you can make me a book for this much money? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, we need all the money up front. I'm like, really? Like, I have no idea who you are, but it was one of those things you took a chance, and they kind of explained how it worked. So we work with China manufacturers, and your price per book would be this much. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's real, then, I can actually now, be able to flip the book and break even or make a little bit. But my goal was never to like make money off the book. It was more like, I just want it in people's hands. Right. So that's why it was such a big deal for me. I'm like, I don't care if I break even on the book or lose money, because to me, it's just nothing more than a personal project, and I get to get my book out there. So a wash, I would have been cool.
Yeah, and that's okay. So, you had the brand FlytPath.
Yeah.
You came out with a book. Eventually you came out with your own bags, which I
Yeah.
know you sell on your own website. We've talked about selling them on Amazon for a while. But
Yeah.
You've resisted from that, but you did sell the book on Amazon.
Yeah.
The FlytPath brand right now on YouTube has like 360,000 followers. That is crazy. What was the trajectory there? I remember when you got 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Yeah, that was, definitely was a couple years ago or something like that, a few years. But yeah, I think doing YouTube in general was one of those things where it's just like, it's a commitment, right? You can't look at it as short term. A lot of people will look at YouTube and look at all the social media stuff and think that they need it. That's good.
Yeah. Does that work well with the garbage man?
Dude. Oh, it's good.
So tell me about the various, you found a way to, or a lot of people have, but to monetize YouTube through various funnels. You're doing a lot of affiliate marketing, and you're just diversified on many different ways. If you're not doing well on Amazon, it's all right. You got your own website, you got YouTube. What all do you have?
That's the biggest thing. I think the biggest misconception with YouTube is that people just go, oh, like, how much money do you make on YouTube? And I go, what does that mean? Like, do you know what that means? People just assume it's just like you do YouTube and you just get like a YouTube paycheck and that's it, which is somewhat true, right? You do get, if you are monetized on YouTube, you get a Google paycheck. So that's great. But I think that, but if you're so reliant on one thing, then it's going to be really hard, right? Because there's going to be days and weeks and months where you're oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Hear that trash?
Yeah, so we're we're in my garage for everybody watching and listening, and this happens sometimes. One day I hope to have a house. Hopefully this podcast blows up, but you just got to deal with this stuff.
Oh, it's real.
And then Aldryn has to leave in a little bit. He has to go pick up. Yeah, Aldryn has 3 kids. His life's crazy. Oh, yeah. When was the last time you relaxed? Do you ever?
First time a couple weeks ago, I think.
First time in probably how long?
A while.
And what'd you do?
For sure. Mexico, a little Mexico trip with the family.
Okay, Mexico trip. Well, so yeah, this is
definitely needed.
You definitely need it. All right, so you were growing. So YouTube, you got affiliate marketing. So when did you figure out how to link up products in your show notes and then you can have those links go to Amazon, you collect a check, and
all of it, like I said, all of it adds up, right? I think the biggest thing with people, just like I said, is people realize it's not just one thing. People are always trying to make the $1 million video and the $1 million thing and whatever it is, instead of making 100 videos that'll make you $50, right? So that's the biggest thing is you can make some money off Google from your videos, but then if you add that up with a little bit of money you make from affiliate links, and then you add that with a little bit of money from a sponsor, and you add that with a little bit of money from your own merchandise. So all of a sudden now you're just looking at what most people would think is just one revenue stream from Google and YouTube. Now it flips into 7 to 10 streams. So people are trying to make that, $10,000, $5,000 in one hit, when I'm like, why not make 10 different streams and make 100 each?
So then, you had the affiliate marketing going for a while. Then you were able to shift over to long-term sponsorships with brands. And then how does that work? How much of what percentages are where you're getting affiliate marketing versus long-term sponsorships? And there's probably other revenue streams I don't even know about yet from you. Yeah,
a lot of it breaks down. But I think for me, when it comes down to sponsorships too, it's I only want to work with people that of course, companies I believe in, companies I use. You get, as a YouTuber now, you get hit up every day with emails going, oh, to review our product, we'll give you this, this, and this. And I go, if it doesn't fit my what I want to do or I don't do a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's luckily enough, I got to the point where it's like I can say no to, when you first start, you just start taking a lot of everything because you're just like, I don't know when this will end, which is still kind of true every day. But, I still have my full-time job. So I can be picky, I guess you could say.
That's fantastic. and you're going to have a lot of people watching this and listening in that are saying, I want to do what Aldryn did with FlytPath. I want to do what he did with Jabberwockies. Jabberwockies?
I think it's still
I've been saying
Jabberwockies.
it Jabberwock. But anyway, what advice would you give to people listening and want to follow in your footsteps? Because you said something to me. You said, Tim, just post it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand that at the time. And we spend so much time overthinking this content. Or are people going to like it? How many likes I'm going to get? And you're like, fuck it, post it, put it out. How have you carried on that mantra to be successful in your career? And is that the advice that you would give youngsters?
100%. It's an analysis by paralysis. Or is that what it is? Paralysis by analysis. Opposite. You just stop posting because you're like, I'm paralyzed because I'm overanalyzing it. Because you're worried when really no one's looking at your shit anyways.
Yeah. And so, okay.
Like you're worried about like friends and family, like what they're going to say, but honestly, they're not watching your stuff. You know what I mean? Like I can ask my wife and be like, when's the last video she saw? Like when you watched it on screen. She doesn't, no one watches your stuff. So that's what I realized. My audience isn't my friends and family. And once you realize that, it gets you out of your head and be like, I'm not posting for you.
Okay, so everybody watching this, all the youngsters, they need to just get out of their head.
Yeah.
Post some stuff, do some content. Nothing is going to be perfect at first, but you're going to develop new styles, techniques, and you're going to find your lane. You'll find your niche. And I think you've found your niche. I mean, shit, I don't even know what your next niche is. We got FlytPath. You got a new Tesla company. What's up with the Tesla company?
I mean, it was one of those things where same thing. When I started doing the FlytPath stuff, when I got into drones, I saw a big opportunity there as far as what the future looked like, right? Then when I wanted to get into, and what's funny is that back when I started the drone company or FlytPath, I was actually going to start a Tesla channel at the same time because I was following Tesla back in 2015, 2016. So I was very much following the company, and I was like, oh, I would love to talk about this company while it's still early adopter stuff. So instead of talking about the company, I ended up pursuing the drone stuff, which is fine, which is great. Still doing it till today, but I never left like the Tesla scene. I actually bought like early stock back then, and it just made me like keep following them all the way throughout. So then by the time now that I kind of understand more of like how the YouTube works, and I have my video kind of processed down a little bit more, I was looking, okay, well, if I do buy a car, I know I'm going to do the same thing. I want to create a brand for it, which is Tesla of the Day. I want to create an IG, a YouTube channel, and do the same thing that I did on the drone channel, which is basically provide content, provide value for people that are doing the same research, right? When people looked up drones before, I was there to provide value because they were looking at what's the best drone, how do I fly the drone, how to use it, how to do it. When people buy the cars, which is Tesla's now, they have 3 million plus cars on the road, doing the same thing. What Tesla do I buy? What's the best thing about it? Why a Tesla? So using that same concept, now I started building it out content for the Tesla channel now.
And what's the Tesla channel called?
Yeah, Tesla of the Day. It's on Instagram. It's on YouTube. And same thing. I'm just providing my experiences on the channel.
That's fantastic. So by my count, you've hacked the car culture. You've hacked the dance culture. You've hacked D2C. You've hacked drones, affiliate marketing, YouTube. Now you're on your Tesla game. And guess what? On the garment scene, you were doing shirts, you were doing stickers, you were ahead of the game. Like, what is next for you? What do you have goals for yourself?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
What do you got, man?
Dude, I don't. You just.
When are we going to build with each other, dude?
Well, there's that. There's always that.
That's going to be some monster shit. We get Lloydsies in the mix too.
I know. I mean, we definitely have a lot of friends who are doing some big things, and it's really good to talk with everybody just to figure it out. Because it may seem like I have things figured out, but I don't. It's just you figured out as you go. And ideally, I love just like talking about the experience of what happened, right? Because then it's like I'm learning from you, you're learning from me. I go to these meetups. I'm the tiny little fish in this huge pond. I'm sitting here, I like, you might say, oh, I have 300,000 subscribers. I go to these conferences and I'm sitting next to a guy who's also watching a speaker, right? And I go, hey, let's share contacts. And then he's sitting there like 2.5 million, and I'm like at 200,000. And this dude is trying to learn from that dude. And I'm like, how are you not up there? But it doesn't matter.
Stop hustling.
You can't stop. You know what I mean? The thing is, like, that person up there might only have 100,000 subscribers, but this person, just because they have a big number, doesn't mean they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like everyone does things differently. Like, this person may have grown to 1 million subscribers just from Google and just from that, when that person over there who has 50,000 subscribers makes more money than this person because they have the strategy out of the funnel. They have merch. They have courses. This person is just going, I just have one stream, right? Yeah. So like that whole funnel can completely change your perspective. So for me, everything sounds good, but I'm like, every day you're learning what else can you do? What's the next thing?
I needed you on the podcast for a long time, and I've been chasing you like a motherfucker. So I'm glad to get you on. But really, it was about you meeting Garv from Visual Rhythm.
Oh yeah.
So I'm building a little creator network. Shout out to Garv Visual Rhythm. What do you got, Garv? Give us just a little bit. How was it today? What do you think?
It was intense. I just turned on the mic right now. I'm back in the mix, and the story. We got to put you on this pressure mode. You killed it.
No, I know. And so we don't have a lot of time. I'm actually stepping away. I'm on my lunch break from my work. I got to get back in a little bit. Garv's here. Like, we're all hustling. And I think, dude, it was awesome to have you on. Like, this is just us reconnecting. I want Tyler to be in the mix.
Yeah.
I want Ground Floor Murals to be in the mix. I want to get everybody together. And then how do we help support each other's businesses? How do we blow the farm up? How do we blow Second Childhood, Mid-90s, Retail RX, FlytPath, Visual Rhythm, like on and on and on. I mean, DR Player Development. What's Devin's aligned? Yeah. Shout out to Devin. We need him on there.
I meet up with him as well. He just got another company.
Okay, so we got to meet up with Devin. Any final words for the Hustle podcast listeners?
I mean, dude, this is awesome. Like I said, long time coming. I just think that
I'm coming for you.
Favorite Street Fighter character? Please tell me.
Ryu. There's no debate.
We got charge characters here.
Yeah, I'm Guile because I'm going touch of death on him, and I did 7 touch of deaths on a bonus round. I don't know what.
Yeah, Vega and Bison. Oh man.
See, we'll pull Vega off the fence, dude.
Guys,
you got to do that quick thing, and then the fake pull. Guile pulls him off the fence.
I love, just for the record, I love how he says, because I agree with him. The best Street Fighter ends at Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Like after that,
it's all downhill.
Dude, yeah.
Okay, well, shout out Street Fighter 2. Shout out the Jabberwocky. Shout out Capcom. Yeah, 100%. All right, you got to go pick up your kids. You got to go live life. I got to hustle. Maybe I need a coffee or something. Me and Garb are going to go do some stuff in PV. We're meeting with a producer at a vintage store. We're building like 7 different things. So
nice, we're on the FlytPath as well. Just letting you know.
We're on the FlytPath. Need to link up with Ryan.
Yeah.
So I want to make that happen because he's in the cold plunge game. All right, we'll link up.
Yeah.
You got to get out of here.
Appreciate it, dude.
Appreciate you, and loved watching you just ascend, and you're forever inspiring to so many people.
Thanks, man.
Am I
You too,
about
man.
to cry over here?
No, man. Hey,
I
dude.
felt it wavering.
The whole thing with that. I mean, I think the reason why we get along is because we've always had this like little chip on our shoulder of building stuff, and I think that's just it. Like we were talking about earlier, we go back, dude. I think it's good. It's good to get us all back together, especially at this different level.
Yeah. So what do we got to do now? We got to do like this and the flex pick, or what do you got?
We're podcasting coast to coast. You were tuned in to another episode of The Hustle, powered by the Retail RX. And we got the pager, paging out. Peace.